Today I'm planning to cover two titles that are simple yet very interesting. Those are sclerotic dentin and dead tracts. These are basically age and functional changes that we see in dentin. Before we go into the details of sclerotic dentin and dead tracts, I want to tell you a little bit about dentinal tubules. Now we know that the the structure of tooth goes like this. So imagine this is the tooth structure with root, a rough diagram of it. Then we have say basically this is the enamel, and then this is an enamel portion, and this is the pulp portion. Dentin continues to be inside the root portion as well, and the pulp canal, the root canal. So this is basically the diagram of tooth. Now from here, this is the pulp chamber, and here from here to here we have dentinal tubules running in S shape, right? And this is all the enamel rods, etc., the enamel structure. However, this is where we see the dentin and the odontoblasts inside the pulp chamber like this. Okay, so let's just take this portion and enlarge it and see it here. So what do we see? We see the dentinal tubules probably running like this. Right? Another dentinal tubule. They are closely packed. And what do they have here? They have the odontoblasts with their odontoblastic process running inside the dentinal tubule. There is another odontoblast with the odontoblastic process running inside the dentinal tubule. And here what you will be seeing, the dentino-enamel junction, and here the enamel. So here is the odontoblast with its nucleus, polarized nucleus. So now if you see the S-shaped tubule with the odontoblastic process inside, and we just take the tubule, enlarge the tubule and see. Take this as the tubule. Okay, another tubule here. And we draw the odontoblast sitting just beneath it, and the odontoblastic process running inside. It comes into the enamel with the Y-shaped branching. Okay, similarly another odontoblast with its odontoblastic process. So basically here are the tubules with their odontoblasts. When they are healthy, they have these odontoblasts and the odontoblastic processes inside. Okay, so what are the contents of this tubule? We have the tubular wall, which is lined by a layer of highly mineralized dentin called as intratubular dentin. Before it was called as peritubular dentin, but now it is called as intratubular dentin. And of course, in between this dentin, between the tubules, we have another form of dentin called as intertubular dentin, that anyway falls outside the dentinal tubules. These are intertubular dentin. Now, coming back to the inside components of the dentinal tubule, that is intratubular dentin, and then we have, of course, the odontoblastic process. Then we have a thin membrane, an organic sheath. Okay, we can use another pencil maybe. A thin organic sheath thought to be left behind by the body of the cytoplasmic membrane of the odontoblast, and that membrane is called as lamina limitans. And then we have a fluid inside the dentinal tubule called as dentinal fluid or lymph, dentinal lymph. So basically these are the components of the dentinal tubule, and because of these components the dentinal tubules look the way they look under the microscope in healthy tooth under a transmitted light. That is mainly they appear S-shaped with light to dark gray lines. Okay, so this is the appearance that we see under the microscope. That is when in health. Now let's shift to another page. What happens when the tooth gets aged or the age advances? Aged tooth, or in case of trauma to these dentinal tubules. These dentinal tubules respond basically in two ways. One, the tubules get filled with calcified material, and because of this the refractive index of the dentinal tubule becomes similar to the refractive index of intratubular dentin. The tubule refractive index becomes similar to the refractive index of the intratubular dentin, which leads to this particular part of the dentin appearing transparent or white under transmitted light. Okay. Now this type of dentin is called as sclerotic dentin because of its appearance. Coming to the other way of response of this tubule is the odontoplastic process inside the tubule dries up because of the trauma. The trauma can be because of dental caries, it can be because of attrition or any kind of trauma, leading to first response is the degeneration of odontoblastic process. Okay. And the fluid dries up, the dentinal lymph dries up. So the tubule gets filled with air, and this under the microscope will appear dark, basically under transmitted light, and because of this is called as dead tracts. These tubules are called as dead tracts because, however, the life was because of the odontoblastic process, and that life is not there anymore with the degeneration of the odontoblastic process, and that the tubules are called as dead tracts now, and they are just filled with air. They have nothing inside except for air. And now we just see, where do we see this sclerotic dentin? Now the location of the sclerotic dentin, most commonly, it can happen anywhere, but most commonly it is in the apical third of root. And what about dead tracts? They can also be seen anywhere, but they are mostly seen just beneath the areas of external stimulation, and most commonly near the pulp horn areas. And the significance of a transparent dentin or sclerotic dentin is protection of pulp. Because of the mineralized tubules, the infection won't get inside, whereas these make a easy path for the bacteria to enter. Now the interesting thing about transparent dentin or sclerotic dentin and dead tracts is that under transmitted light, see, we have two types of microscopy. We can have light coming from below, that is called as transmitted light microscopy, and the other way is we can have light coming from the above, of the object, that is the object gets the light from above, so that is called as reflected light. Okay, reflected light microscopy. So when we are talking about transmitted light, the sclerotic dentin will appear transparent or white, whereas the dead tracts will appear dark under transmitted light microscopy, right? Whereas under the reflected light microscopy, the sclerotic dentin will appear dark and the dead tracts will appear white. So this is very interesting characteristic feature of these two entities, that is sclerotic dentin and dead tracts appearing different under transmitted and reflected light. So let's see why they appear so. Now just follow the diagrammatic explanation that I'm going to give to you. See, this say is the source of light. Okay, and here is the dentinal tubule. This is the situation of transmitted light microscopy. So this is the source of the light. So the light is coming this way. This is the dentinal tubule that we are going to observe under the transmitted light. And here is the eyepiece. Okay. And here is the eye, the position of our eye. Okay. So this is where we will be observing the tubules. When the light comes through it, we will be seeing the tubule architecture. So let's see. So now the light is passing, a ray of light passes through this is the situation of sclerotic dentin. Okay, when a sclerosed tubule is kept in the path of a light, what happens to it? So this particular tubule, now it is sclerosed, meaning it is filled with mineral material and it's become glassy with the refractive index almost similar to the glass. So it is basically is become glassy, and because of which there is no interference because of change in the refractive indices of the media. So what happens is the light passes through it easily. The ray of light passes through it, goes to the eyepiece and goes to the eye. Whenever the light sees the eyes see the light, the eye will perceive it as brightness. So because of which the sclerotic dentin will appear white, because we are seeing the whiteness. When we don't see the light, it's obviously dark, right? So here, because of the refractive index such that the light ray is passing through it undeflected and reaches the eye, and this is perceived as white light. Okay, so that's why under transmitted light we see sclerotic dentin as white. Now the similar arrangement for dead tracts observation, that we have kept a dead tract to see under a transmitted light microscopy. So the light is coming from here, but here the dentinal tubule is dead tract instead of sclerotic dentin, and there is the eyepiece and the eye. Now when we see the light passing through it, the dead tract has air in it, so the light, when it passes, because of the change in the refractive index, will deviate such that the light completely turns back and comes back. Basically it doesn't reach the eye. The light will not reach the eye of the observer. So what happens? This is called as total internal reflection. Total internal reflection. And because of this total internal reflection, the observer sees only darkness. That is why the dead tracts appear dark under transmitted light. Okay, so let's understand what happens in reflected light for both sclerotic dentin and dead tracts. When it comes to the reflected light, the source of light is also from the observer side. So we will see this. this is the eyepiece that we had drawn. The source of light also is, say, somewhere here. Okay, just again, as I said, it's a diagrammatic representation. And here is the tubule of the sclerotic dentin, which is highly calcified and mineralized. Now the eye, the observer's eye is also here. Okay, now there is no source of light from here, so there is no light, what we saw in transmitted light, that source is not there here, and we have light coming from here. So that is from the observer's side, and this is the eyepiece through which the observer has to see whatever the part of light that comes through the object that he is observing. Now the light, when it is from above, that is the reflected light. So now that light comes, because of no change in the refractive index, passes through the tubule and goes back and gets vanished. There is no light reaching the observer. So there is no light reaching the observer. The observer will see it as darkness, because the light that came from the source just went through the tubule and went away, right? So that's why he sees it as dark light. So the sclerotic dentin under reflected light will be seen as dark, whereas the tetracts similar situation, the observer's eye, okay, the eyepiece, the source of light also being somewhere here, the tubule which is air filled, right, and there is no light source from here, there is no light source from here. Now this light which is coming through the through the light source falls onto the dentinal tubule, which is air filled. Because of the change in the refractive index, will deviate, reflect, and it will reflect back. The same principle, the total internal reflection will happen even at this point, and the light will pass through the eyepiece because it's reflected back and goes back, right, to the same direction that it came from. So it goes, and now because the eye was here and the eyepiece were here, it will be seen by the observer, and whenever the observer sees any light, it will be perceived as whiteness or brightness. So this is again, here there is no light passing through, that's why there is no light lost. So this principle again is total internal reflection that happens in tetracts, and that is why tetracts under reflected light appear white. I hope this concept is clear with both sclerotic dentin and tetracts, why they appear different in transmitted light and reflected light. Now we shall start with drawing the histology diagrams of these. To start drawing histodiagram of the ground sections of tooth, all that we need are the sharpened pencils, lead pencils. Sometimes to draw the enamel we will need a brown pencil, and to draw some darker areas such as tetracts we will need a pencil which is 8B. We'll get darker shade with it, so we'll have an 8B pencil, and this is all we need for drawing ground sections of histodiagrams. So let's start drawing. Now as always, we draw a neat circle using whatever we can, either a bangle or a cup or a mug. So this is how we draw a circle. And as we discussed during the theory part, that the sclerotic dentin, now we'll start with sclerotic dentin first, later we'll go to draw the tetracts. The sclerotic dentin, we discussed that it is mostly on the root surface. It can be seen anywhere, but it's mostly seen on the root surface, root areas, root dentin. So we will draw a portion of the root. This portion will be the pulp area, and here will be the area for the outside this. So this portion will be the dentin area. So now we'll start making the dentinal tubules. Now drawing dentinal tubules, there is a bit of technique that it involves. That is, first thing, we always think that we should always assume that we have kept a tooth, the section of the tooth with root below and crown portion above, so that we get an uniform drawing. So imagine this is the tooth, this is the root portion, and imagine this portion, this here is the pulp tissue and here is the pulp tissue. So imagine if I have taken this portion of the root to draw, so you will be seeing dentinal tubules running like this, right? So imagine this portion I have taken, and here this is the root area, and that will be the crown area. The above will be the crown. This portion is crown and this portion is the root side of this section of tooth. Now when we are drawing that in mind, when we are drawing dentinal tubules, we should draw the curvature, the first convexity towards the root. So this convexity is towards the root apex. You know that dentinal tubules are S-shaped curve, S-shaped structures. So it is convex and concave. So this convexity, the first convexity, is towards the apex portion of the root. So you keep drawing dentinal tubules as neatly as you can, close to one another with a sharp pencil. However, in the root portion, the S curvature is not very prominent, so it is a shallow S. In the crown, the S will be very prominent. So now just consider that this much portion of dentin we will make transparent dentin, that is the sclerotic dentin, which will not be visible. So let's do the rest of the dentin. This way you fill up the entire area with dentinal tubules. Now we have left these ends slightly away from the cemental surface, just a thin area where you won't be drawing the tubules. Just leave that space empty. That is to draw the Tomes granular layer. When the dentinal tubules loop at the end, the cut surfaces of those looped dentinal tubules will be seen as granular area, and that is called as the Tomes granular layer. Okay, so that is the Tomes granular layer. Now the portion of the sclerotic dentin, we will just take care to draw small portions of dentinal tubules that are still not sclerosed, and the other ends of it too are not sclerosed. So this is just to show that these are the portions of dentinal tubules, and this area of dentinal tubule has become transparent. That is, this entire area is sclerosed with a slight area of in between. Wherever it's not sclerosed, you'll be seeing gray lines. Those are the unmineralized portions, not completely solidly filled inside the tubules. The minerals are not completely filled. So this portion is the sclerotic dentin, and the cut ends of the tubules, because this portion of the tubules are still normal, and those portions will show the Tomes granular layer. So that we will be drawing. This is the pulpal side, this is the cemental side, and this is the portion of sclerotic dentin. Just to give a little more realistic look, we can use our skills to draw this. Now we have on the last portion that is to be drawn as the cementum, a thin layer of acellular cementum we will draw, assuming that we have taken that portion of the slide that is here is the portion where there is acellular cementum. We can draw the incremental lines of Salter that we see in cementum. So this is basically the diagram of sclerotic dentin. Now we'll start labeling it. Just erase wherever the brown shade has come, the lead shade has come when we are drawing. We shall label. These are the S-shaped dentinal tubules. Here this is dentinal tubules. These are the dentin with dentinal tubules. This is Tomes granular layer. This is the portion of sclerotic dentin or transparent dentin. This is cementum. Even though this diagram is for sclerotic dentin, there is no harm in labeling the incremental lines of Salter in cementum. This is the pulp portion. Okay. So this is pretty much the diagram for sclerotic dentin. Hope you understood. Any doubts you can ask me, you can give me your comments in the channel, and I'll start with detracts now. Now we will start drawing detracts. For detracts we need a lead pencil, a dark pencil to draw the detracts, that is 8B pencil, and a brown pencil to draw the enamel. Okay, now we will draw a circle. Okay, here we have the circle. Okay, now we'll draw a portion of the crown where it's been attreated. That is the reason the tooth dentin has got detracts. So we shall draw outline, that is just two slanting lines to draw the outlines of enamel, very faint ones. Later we will erase them, and then we will draw the portion of the pulp in the center. Okay, and then we'll draw the dentino-enamel junction. This is the portion where the tooth has got treated, and rest all this area will be detracts. Now we'll draw the lines where we are going to put the detracts. These are the dentinal tubules. Later we'll do the dark drawing, dark pencil over it, drawing with the dark pencil. Now we will draw the dentinal tubules, which are kind of S-shaped, very carefully. Now we have dentinal tubules drawn, and we got the area where we are going to draw the detracts, that is the pulp horn area. So now I will just make these lines very dark with 8B pencil. This is the area of detract. Now beneath the detract, in the pulpal region, we may have a area of tertiary dentin formed. That is the reparative dentin. Okay. Yeah. Now we will be drawing the enamel portion. In the ground section, the enamel appears brown. Just shade this area with brown pencil. Okay. Now I'll be drawing the incremental lines of Retzius at an angle from the dentino-enamel junction. We will also draw faint enamel rods. Running from dentino-enamel junction to the surface of the enamel. Since it's only a thinner portion of enamel, you don't have to use a scale to draw the enamel rods. If it was a thicker portion, you probably would need a scale. And highlight the incremental line. You can erase the outer line now that was drawn with pencil, and put the brown pencil on top. Okay. This is the drawing of detracts. We'll start labeling detracts. This is how detracts appear under transmitted light. So this is the enamel. You can label all the details of the enamel. You can label the enamel rods. You can draw the incremental lines. Incremental lines of Retzius in enamel. This is the detracts, which appears dark under transmitted light. This is the tertiary or the reparative dentin. These are the dentinal tubules in the dentin. So this is the drawing of detracts. Please give your comments and likes, and I'll come back with another histology diagram. Thank you. See you all soon. Bye.